welcome. My name is Kresic. I'll be your moderator for the day, and it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to announce here Miss Lisa Carmen Wang, our guest. Hello, welcome to Croatia.
Thank you.
Lisa is a Chinese-American entrepreneur and investor. She's a Yale graduate and four-time U.S. gymnast champion winner and a Hall of Famer, if I'm not wrong. She's also founder of the Bad Bitch Empire, writer of the Bad Bitch Bible. So we will be hearing about bad bitches very, very shortly. But to open our conversation, you have had such a prolific career even at a young age. All these medals and championships in gymnasts is from the time when you were of young age. What inspired you? What made you to go into this way of writing a book and establishing Bad Bitch Empire?
So I want to go back to just the roots, because I think the story that we often don't see is really the beginning. And so I was born in Wisconsin, which is a very small state in the US, and I was one of the only Asian faces in my entire community. So I was made fun of for how I looked. I was made fun of for how I spoke. My parents came over, they immigrated from China with just a couple $100s. And so one of my earliest memories was going to this big grocery store, and they would have free samples for dinner. And so we would eat the free samples because we didn't have enough money to actually have a full dinner at home. And so I grew up with a very hard work ethic. My parents taught me it was really important to work hard for money, work hard for success. But I think from a very early age, I was very shy. I was very insecure. I really lacked self-confidence. I didn't believe that my voice mattered because I was made fun of for my voice. So I started gymnastics when I was 9 years old. And at 9 years old, I found that gymnastics was an opportunity for me to speak with my body, not just with my voice, because I was so shy. So I was able to affect the audience with my performance on the mat. And gymnastics from a very early age taught me perfectionism, which was very good for winning gold medals, but it was also very toxic and probably the beginning of my good girl brainwashing.
What do you mean when you say good girl brainwashing? You claim in your book that many women don't fulfill their full potentials due to this good girl brainwashing. What is it?
So good girl brainwashing is all of the societal and media messages that train women to play small, be silent, and stay subordinate to the status quo. So it causes good girl habits like people-pleasing, weak boundaries, perfectionism, and it causes us to prioritize everybody else except ourselves. It causes us to diminish our worth and not ask for more money when we know that we have the value that we bring to the table. And good girl brainwashing affects us because we are rewarded for being a good girl. People say, oh, she's so polite. Oh, she's so nice. We like her. And there's a part of us that's afraid of claiming to be, the woman that is truly powerful at the table. And so I had a transition from good girl to bad bitch, and I define a bad bitch as a woman that takes charge unapologetically of her body, her boundaries, and her bank account. And in particular in business, it was the realization that being a good girl may get you a good job. People may tell you, oh, she's a good girl. But in order to become a leader, in order to be respected, you have to become a bad bitch.
And it's pretty clear that the audience likes that. But how did you come up with the title Bad Bitch? I mean, obviously, it's obvious what it means to you and what's the message that you want to send. But when did you experience the moment? When did you say, okay, this is it? I'm going to be a bad bitch. And why bad bitch?
Well, I think every woman has this experience of, as she is ascending in her career, that part of what makes you successful is you need to be more assertive, right? You need to be more aggressive. But the moment you're aggressive or you have opinions or you speak up, suddenly you're labeled a bitch. And there's this fear of being labeled a bitch. And so what I realized is that when a woman is called a bitch, it actually just means she's a woman who has opinions, is not willing to tolerate disrespect, walks away from people who don't see her worth. And so when we call a woman a bitch, we're actually just weaponizing her power against her. And so for me, it was a very conscious choice to use this word because it's a reclamation of our power, a reclamation of a way that used to be an insult. But now you're saying, well, I'm already calling myself a bitch, so I don't really care if you say that to me because I think it's a positive thing. And so for me, it was just all of the experiences that I had going through Wall Street. I was working at a hedge fund, going through Silicon Valley, and walking into rooms always being assumed to be inferior. I remember one of my earliest experiences, I was the CEO of my startup. My COO was a 35-year-old white man, and I walked into the investor meeting, and the investor goes to him, shakes his hand, and brushes me off as the assistant, even though I'm the CEO. And I was the one who apologized. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm the CEO. And he, of course, did not apologize. And so I think that there are all of these experiences where I just kind of got tired of it. And I said, well, I'm being a good girl, I'm being nice, I'm working hard, I'm being perfect, and I'm still not getting the respect that I deserve. And so at a certain point, I think for a woman who's really wanting to become a leader, to become powerful, she has to figure out what are her values. And the value should never be to obey simply for the fact of obeying because society says that's how you're supposed to act when it is actually limiting you and your potential.
What were your experiences? How did the first reactions look like when you, let's sort of call it, switch to your persona, and you said, okay, I'm a bad bitch now, I don't care. How did the CEO and the Wall Street react?
Yeah. So I spent 10 years trying to gain respect from men in the industry, from other colleagues in the industry. And so when I announced the Bad Bitch Business Bible, when I announced the Bad Bitch Empire and this brand, there were a lot of interesting reactions. So especially some of the more conservative colleagues that I had were saying, why is she dressing like this? Why is she using this word? And they were very offended. And they're like, well, a serious businesswoman doesn't dress like this or speak like this. And I'm like, well, what is a serious businesswoman? Because if you look at my resume and look at my track record, you have nothing to say. And so part of this was actually an experiment, a social experiment for me, because I think women, when we choose to feel beautiful and bold and speak and embrace our feminine power, we are often viewed as less intelligent or less competent of being a leader. And so I was testing, if I don't dress like a strict businesswoman and speak like a strict businesswoman, that shouldn't diminish what I bring to the table. And actually the people who have a problem with me using this word or using this brand, it actually reveals more to me about the covert misogyny rather than actually saying anything about me.
You've mentioned leadership, and you also say in your book, but also in our brief conversations, what it meant for you to be so involved in sports and to achieve so high results. So what does it mean for you now, from today's perspective, from perspective of being an investor? What did the sports career bring to you?
So I'd say the most important lesson that I learned from being an athlete and a competitive gymnast was the ability to fall and get back up again. Because when you have the experience of failing and falling flat on your face in front of tens of thousands of people, and you feel the humiliation and the pain and the shame, and somehow on the floor you have to find the inner strength to get back up and put a smile on your face and say the show must go on, then that ability to say, I'm going to fall and I can get back up a million times is what served me as an entrepreneur. It's what served me as an investor, because when the markets go down, I always know that things are going to go up. When my investment or bank account go down, I have no doubt that there's going to be more money coming or that I'm going to succeed in the next milestone. So I look at things from a very large macro perspective. It doesn't matter what's happening in kind of these little ups and downs. At the end of the day, I know that I'm trending up.
You also write about the importance of investing, which is basically what the whole, well, not whole, but it's a very important part of your message for Bad Bitch Empire and for the book. Why do you feel it's so important that women know and do actually invest their money and their values into something?
So one of the the reason why I define a bad bitch as a woman who takes charge of her body, her boundaries, and her bank account, and is because all parts of these are very important, but I think I want to talk about the bank account issue and money, because in particular, money is something that women have often been shamed for wanting, right? We can say, I want to be a good mother, I want to be a good wife, I want to do good for society. But if a woman says, I want to be really, really rich, and I want to build an empire because I want to change the world, and I want to take myself shopping, and I want to go to the spa, they're like, why is she so selfish? Why is she not giving to charity? And so part of this is reclaiming that wealth and money is a tool for impact and freedom and for creating the life we want to lead. Men don't have that same, negative stereotype if they say they want to make a lot of money. And so reclaiming the money in the bank account aspect and saying there's no shame if I want and I have really big dreams and I want to make a lot of money. But investing is a very powerful part of this because the wealthiest people in the world, there's $110 trillion of assets under management in venture capital and private equity and hedge funds. 99% of that money is managed by men in the most powerful economic institutions. And so when we're talking about the pay gap or the wage gap or the funding gap, we're looking at the micro when really the bigger issue stems from the macro. It's who is investing the money, who is putting dollars into new companies, new startups. And so the reason I advocate for investing and why at the Bad Bitch Empire we've built an entire investment fund focused on investing in female-led businesses is because we want to channel the dollars into bigger issues like women's health care, like economic equality, like women's safety and security. And the only way that we actually change the system is when more women invest. And the other side of it is that the wealthiest people are the ones who are investors, right? We've been taught that you have to work really hard for your job to make money. Well, every single wealthy person not only has a job, they also have 10 streams of additional income through their investments. Right? The whole idea is that it's not about working for money, it's about making your money work for you so that even while you're working at your job, you have money on the side that's just making more money for you and growing even when you're not paying attention. And all you have to do is focus on making that decision to invest in the first place and invest in the types of companies that you believe in.
And you also add that you don't necessarily have to be a huge billionaire in order to be able to invest.
Yes. Yeah, so investing, and I don't know how big investing is in Croatia, but it's a larger and larger conversation because women don't get taught the education to invest. So 90% of money media that's targeted towards men is about investing in growth and success, financial success. And 90% of the money media targeted at women is about saving and spending less and giving to the world. And so we've been brainwashed to believe something about money and fear of investing, fear of putting our money into the stock market, into startups. And we've also been told that only Warren Buffett or billionaires have the ability to invest money. But now we have the technology and the platforms and the investment networks that allow women to invest with as little as $100. If you have $1,000, even better. But you can start making those first investments. And that's what we teach at the Bad Bitch Empire, is that ability to actually start investing with no matter how much money you have, because the earlier you start, the better your growth is. And for me, the focus is on venture capital, because we've also been taught that only really rich people can become angel investors, invest in startups at the early stages. And you think of things like Uber. If you had invested in Uber your first $100, that would be worth, over $1 million today, but you didn't have to go and build Uber, right? And so that's what I think about when investing in female-led businesses. We just invested in a woman who had her previous company. She's one of 22 women ever to IPO in the United States. She exited for $500 million, her previous company. And at the Bad Bitch Empire, via a fund, we just invested in her new AI company to address the labor gap to empower stay-at-home moms. So it's She's using AI to really change and create impact for women and the world. And so, I look at her and I said, well, she already knows how to build a $500 million business. She's on business number 2. And so I immediately contacted her when I found out she was building an AI company. I said, hey, Bad Bitch Empire wants to be on your cap table and we want to invest in you. So now I have investment there. I have an investment in a blockchain company, female-founded company, and she just won Web Summit in Qatar, beat out over 2,000 companies. And so these 2 companies are already my second, third income stream. And now as a woman, you can invest in the Bad Bitch Empire Fund, and you can invest as part of our community, and that's what we're empowering women to do.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, and later on we will move to Q&A session, which, judging by the reactions from the audience, we will have some. How would you encourage or maybe even advise members of the audience to become members of the Bad Bitch Empire and go invest? Yeah.
I believe that there's a QR code somewhere that will switched on. Yes. So the QR code over there, badbitchempire.com/Croatia. I'm actually doing a Bad Bitch Investor boot camp in Zagreb in 2 weeks on the 21st of March. And the Bad Bitch Investor boot camp is a boot camp that I've done all over the world to help women learn how to invest, how to set their financial goals, how to actually think about their financial dreams, and how to become an investor on your path to becoming a millionaire. So again, the fastest way to build wealth is through investing. And so this is a full-day boot camp for you to learn and work directly with me as your mentor, where I teach you how to set up your financial goals and how to actually budget and how to think about investing, how to evaluate investment opportunities. And once you join, you're part of the Bad Bitch Empire community and have access to our fund as well. So that's on Thursday, the 21st in Zagreb. And it's a full day in a private presidential suite at a luxury hotel. So we're really excited about that. But it's really an opportunity for women who are serious about taking action. And at Bad Bitch Empire, we have 3 values. I say it's ambition, action, and abundance. So ambition is the type of woman who has big dreams and is not afraid to say, I want something more. Action is the ability to take action, not to say, I dream about an idea and then never move. So everything in terms of what I've built and how I've succeeded is because I actually take action on the types of things that I say I'm going to do. And then finally, abundance, which is if you are going to invest, if you are going to be building, you need to have a mindset of abundance to be able to actually grow your wealth and really create the life that you want.
Wonderful, thank you. And with this, we will be opening our floor for questions. So please just raise your hand and ask. Still nothing. I expected actually something, judging by the reactions that we've had at certain points of our conversation. But while we are waiting for members of the audience to maybe bold themselves up, let's try and go back to your gymnast career and the fact that, how did you say, you had to be a perfectionist. Did that basically shape the rest of your life in a way?
Yeah, being an athlete I think the backbone of my character is a competitive athlete. So when I look at companies that I want to invest in, we go through the due diligence and we look at the team, we look at the traction, we look at the technology, I look at the total addressable market. But at the end of the day, what I look at is the woman I'm investing in. So what I look for is she a winner? And there's a very certain type of personality who says, I don't care what obstacles are in my way, I'm going to win because I'm a champion. And I sense and I detect in a woman whether or not she's hungry. And when I say hunger, she is hungry to make money, she is hungry to succeed, and she's a fighter and she's a warrior. Because you can't teach someone hunger. If you're not hungry to succeed, I can't teach you that. It's either in you or it's not. And those are the types of women that I know are going to succeed and that I want to invest in, and because that's how I experienced growing up as well. And so there's plenty of female founders that have come and pitched the fund, and they have a great product. They have a great idea. they have great technology. But then when I speak to her, there is something in her that I don't see, that she doesn't want it badly enough. And so if you've ever met someone who, when you look in their eyes, when you look at the way that they walk or the way that they talk about their business, it's like they're in their own world, right? They're like, I see my vision. I don't care what gets in my way. I don't care who gets in my way. You're all going to get out of my way because I'm going to succeed and I'm going to win. And that's the type of person that I would coach, that I mentor, that I invest in. And you can become that, I think, if you really want to. And it's really about giving yourself permission to say, I want and desire more. And all of that stems from, my background as an athlete.
How often do you encounter that type of character?
Well, there's a reason why venture capital firms invest in less than 1% of the deals that they see. Not everyone is building a billion-dollar company. Not everyone is meant to be CEO. Not everyone is meant to be a visionary. In fact, not everyone is supposed to be a leader. And most people are followers. Most people are builders. And I think that if there's anything inside of you that believes I am a leader and I have the ability to change the world, then you should give yourself permission to say that out loud. And I think one of the toughest things, especially for women, going back to this idea of society saying it's not okay to want money or power or success. So it's very hard to admit that you want it, or that you want a life better than the life that you have now, or that you have ambitions greater than your immediate environment, or maybe greater than your friends' ambitions. But it takes someone very strong to be able to break out of the status quo and the community that's around them, that basically tells you to dream smaller, that tells you to be smaller. And so it's 1 in a million, 1 in 1,000. It's rare, but that's what we look for.
But there are some.
There are some, and I hope that there are more and more as more women go from good girl to bad bitch. I think there will be more female leaders that emerge in the next few years.
Do we maybe now have any questions? Oh, yes, we do. All right. So let's start from back there. Here, yeah, right next to the wall. There'll be a mic. Just a second.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell me your morning rituals? When you wake up, what do you do in the morning? How is your day starting?
Since we only have 5 minutes, let's take 3 questions at a time and answer 3 questions.
Okay.
There was one there in the fourth row.
Thank you for the wonderful talk. My question was about your transition to going from the good girl to the bad bitch. How did you handle that? Was it hard? What did you do? Or is there some steps or tricks that you would advise? Because I can imagine it's not easy. You get a lot of opposition, you get a lot of judgment, some relationship may change. So it would be great to hear a bit about that. Thank you.
Thank you. And final question, first row.
Hello. How long did you work in investment company, and why did you leave?
Okay, so let's begin with morning rituals.
Morning ritual. I have a Spotify playlist called Bad Bitch Energy. So you should follow me on Instagram at Lisa Carmen Wang, and I'll share on my stories today a link to the Bad Bitch Energy playlist. So I think music is very important to me, and I always do start with listening to my own thoughts. So I'll either journal, or when I'm in the mirror, I do say affirmations to myself. I think that every word, every thought that you have is very important, has an energetic frequency. So you can choose to have negative thoughts, like, I'm not good enough, I have too much to do, I have so much work, like nobody likes me. Or you can choose to say, I am amazing and I have big goals, I'm making so much progress, I'm so proud of myself, I love myself. All these things are really important. I have a green juice every morning that my partner brings me. And I like to work out, so get my body moving. So that's really, nothing too strict. I don't think the magic is in the morning routine. I think the magic is in the energy and the love that you have for yourself.
The transition?
So the transition, this is a really great question. I have had a lot of opposition from me going from good girl to bad bitch, because you find out that the moment you take charge of your boundaries and you say, my standards are raised, I don't accept this behavior anymore, there's going to be a lot of people, especially in your personal life, who don't like that. If you are public with it, on LinkedIn, I had a negative comments on LinkedIn just from the term bad bitch. And a lot of it was just learning how to tune out, whose opinion actually matters. So I'll share a very quick story. I broke up with my ex-partner, who really did not like when I transitioned from good girl to bad bitch. I think there's men who like the idea of being with a powerful woman and then they can't handle it. And I think you need to be strong enough to walk away from anyone who does not, who tries to keep you back and hold you back. So I had my own experience with that as well. And all I can say is that you're going to have opposition, so be ready for that mentally and surround yourself with the types of people and the women, the other bad bitches who are going to support you and cheer you on. And, I believe in you. So as you go from that journey, just remember, bad bitches never settle.
And finally, time spent in finance industry.
Time spent in finance industry. Why did I leave? I started out in Wall Street, a hedge fund. I was one of the few women there, and like many of our experiences, I found that the men next to me were doing less work and getting paid more because they were in the same fraternity as the boss. And I was really annoyed, and I just thought I can make a lot more impact outside of these walls of corporate when I have the freedom and the creativity to create my own dreams and create my own impact. So I believe that any woman who has the power and the ambition to do something bigger, she will always be better off doing it outside of the walls of a patriarchal corporate structure. So I'm going to leave with one last piece of advice. And this is at the quote at the beginning of my book, which is that a woman steps into her full power, not when she is finally given permission to do so, but when she realizes that she never needed permission in the first place. So there's never going to be a moment when someone says that it is possible, when someone says, you can go do that, you can go get your dream. No one's going to tell you that. So only you can give yourself permission to take a step, take a leap, and become powerful and become the bad bitch you were born to be.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Standing ovation. Thank you.